Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on something that every single company, school, or government agency has, but you can't really see. It's the organizational structure. Think of it as the secret blueprint that can make or break an entire business, often deciding between success and, well, total chaos.
So, how do you take a bunch of smart, talented people and get them all pulling in the same direction? Is it magic? Pure luck? No, there's a system at play. You see, every single organization starts with the same basic problem. How do you turn potential chaos into real clarity? The answer is all in how it's built. So, let's get into how it all actually works.
The key idea behind all of this is organizing. And no, I don't just mean cleaning up your desk. In the business world, organizing means you are very deliberately, very formally, grouping people and resources together to hit a specific target. I mean, without a clear plan for who does what, you're just burning through time, money, and energy. It's really the difference between a well-oiled machine and a directionless mob.
All right, so to really get our heads around this, we need to look at what we're calling the organizational blueprint. It's that invisible framework that gives a company its shape, its form, and its strength.
This blueprint, this structure, is the formal pattern of relationships that connects all the different parts of a company. It's designed on purpose. It doesn't just happen by accident. And the most common way to actually see it is something I guarantee you've seen before.
The classic org chart. Yeah, I know, at first glance it might just look like a bunch of boxes with names in them, but it's so much more than that. It's a map. It's a map of power and process. Every box is a specific job, and those lines, they're not just for decoration. They show who reports to who, creating a crystal clear chain of command from the president all the way down.
But hang on, a structure is way more than just that chart. It's the detailed job descriptions, it's how all the work is divided up, and then, crucially, how it's all coordinated. It's the system of authority, the formal rules, like HR policies, that guide everything. When you put all of that together, you realize it's literally the entire operating system of the company.
And this brings us to a really fascinating point. The huge difference between the official rules on paper and the social reality of how things actually get done.
Right. So every company is really two organizations in one. You've got the formal one, the one that's planned out with official roles and titles, but right alongside it you have the informal one. This one just bubbles up. It's built on friendships, on social cliques, and this informal network, it is incredibly powerful.
Just think about your own job for a second. How often do you get critical information from an official email versus what you hear from a coworker you trust over coffee? That informal channel, the grapevine, is often way faster and sometimes even more on point than any official report. It's the thing that can warn you about a looming problem or tip you off to a new opportunity long before management ever makes an announcement. It's a huge deal.
So, if these blueprints are so important, why doesn't every company just copy the same successful one? Well, because these structures are not created in a bubble. They are constantly being bent and shaped by powerful forces, both from the outside world and from right inside the company's walls.
On the outside, you have the environment. I'm talking about things like political shifts, new laws, or big economic changes that force a company to adapt or die. Technology, of course, is another massive driver. A new piece of software or a new machine can completely change what a job looks like. And then you can't ignore the people themselves. As attitudes about work-life balance and having a voice change, the company's structure has to change too.
Now, internally, leaders are always facing this huge choice. Do we centralize or do we decentralize? In other words, do you keep all the decision-making power at the very top for tight control? Or do you push that power down to lower levels so your teams can be fast and responsive? Neither one is right or wrong, it's a strategic choice. It's a trade-off that totally depends on what that company is trying to achieve.
Okay, that's enough theory. To really see how this all plays out in the real world, let's follow the story of a small business and watch its structure literally get built from the ground up as it grows.
So let's meet Mrs. Das. It's 1975, and she's just started a business out of her home kitchen making this amazing garlic chili sauce. Right now, the organization is about as simple as it gets. It's just her. She does everything, the cooking, the selling, the books. The structure is totally flat because, well, she is the entire company. But her sauce is a hit. And as demand explodes, things start to get complicated, fast. First, she hires an assistant, Andrani. Then she needs a kitchen helper, a couple of people for sales, and even an assistant for her assistant. By 1980, what started in her kitchen is now a real company with dozens of employees working in different departments. You see, growth forced her to build a structure.
The second she hired Indrani, Mrs. Das had to learn a totally new and absolutely essential skill: delegation. She just couldn't do it all herself anymore, so she had to give her new assistant the authority and the responsibility to act on her behalf. This one simple act, handing off a piece of the work, is the very first building block of any org chart.
So as her team kept growing, Mrs. Das ran headfirst into another problem. How many people can one person actually manage effectively? This is called span of control. As soon as she had more than a few people reporting directly to her, her span of control just got too wide. It became impossible to give everyone the time and attention they needed, and that forced her to do the next thing: add a layer of managers.
So now you've divided the company up into these specialized departments. You got your sales team, your production team, your finance team. But this creates a brand new problem. How do you get them all pulling in the same direction, instead of just becoming rivals fighting for resources? This is the core challenge of integration.
So how do you keep everybody aligned? Well, integration really stands on 3 pillars. First up is authority. That hierarchy, the org chart, makes sure that everyone ultimately reports up to one single person who can coordinate everything. Then you need administration. These are your formal procedures for things like hiring or submitting expenses. They create a smooth, predictable workflow across all the different departments. And finally, you have to connect it all with communication. Systems that let information flow up to the boss, down to the team, and sideways between departments.
So, what does this all mean for the future? Well, organizational design is not a one-and-done thing. It's always evolving to handle new kinds of work and new challenges. Let's take a quick look at some of the common blueprints companies use.
2 of the most classic blueprints are the functional structure and the product structure. With a functional structure, you group people by their skills. All the marketing folks are in one department, all the finance folks in another. It's super efficient. But then you have the product structure, where you basically create mini companies for each product line. This is great for being nimble, but it can get expensive because you might end up with 3 separate marketing teams for 3 different products.
But for today's really complex work, even newer structures are popping up. You've got the matrix structure. It's a hybrid where an employee might report to their regular department head and to a specific project manager. It's really flexible, but it can get confusing with 2 bosses. Then there's the network structure, where a small central company acts like a command hub, coordinating a whole web of outside partners for massive projects.
So, the bottom line is this. Every single place you work has a structure, whether you see it on a chart or just feel it every day. The really important question to ask yourself is this: is the structure where you work built for the challenges of today, or is it a relic from yesterday, holding you and your team back? Thanks for watching The Explainer.